Yes, good afternoon and welcome. It is the Suzette Speaks show. Happy Friday. Y'all, we made it. I cannot believe it's a beautiful Fire Friday here at Voice of the Caribbean. We have a lot to talk about. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Suzette Speaks. I am a radio host, of course, here at Voice of the Caribbean, but I'm also an attorney and activist who loves to talk about hot topics and news you most certainly can use. We do have a lot going on in the news today, but we're going to just take a quick second to acknowledge that we made it. What an incredibly long week. I don't know about how you feel, but lots happened, and I feel like the world is spinning around us. I also want to give you, of course, some positive news. I'll do that before the end of the broadcast, but welcome, pull up a chair. We're just going to chit chat. There's some new developments going on with the Trump administration. When are there not new developments going on with the Trump administration? Right? There are always new developments. But we're looking at, some of the trends that we're seeing with the tariffs that have been implemented. Companies, big and small, are saying that there are warning signs with regards to what will be available to the American consumer after May. Seems as if, again, China has put its foot down and has limited what is being brought to the United States. And we're going to see how that impacts us all. So I know a lot of us were looking forward to, some sort of resolution, but we have not seen one just as yet. But the current tariff, exposure that every single person in the United States is going to feel, which is the tax that is passed on from the purchaser of the good to the buyers of that good, will be felt here in the United States. So we're going to see what, the tariff situation looks like come May, and even in a few weeks as we start to see these tariffs applied to what we buy. Wanted to talk to you about some changes when we're looking at the weather. Yay. If you look outside right now here in South Florida, it is a bit, overcast. I wouldn't say rainy yet, but yes, the R word. We are anticipating some rain finally. I know we have some big events going on here. This weekend is the Formula One race in Miami Gardens. Shout out to Miami Gardens. And we also will have in Fort Lauderdale the air show featuring the Blue Angels. So a lot of people will be out and about. And even though these are outdoor activities, the Formula One race, of course, is one of the premier races held that are staged here in the United States. There are only three. I think it's us, Miami, Vegas, and I think there's one more F1 Formula One race that is held here in the United States. So it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. What's going on this weekend, Saturday, Sunday? I'm not going to even talk about the ticket prices. I don't know who all is going. Who is going? Who is going to see Formula One? I don't have a ticket, but hey, I will be looking forward, though, to the festivities that will be coming up in a few weeks. That is Memorial Day. Y'all know here in South Florida, Memorial Day is a wonderful time of celebration. I have a couple of tickets already purchased. In a couple weeks, we also know World Boss will be here. Vibes Cartel will be here. Hey, in the at the Amarant Bank. There we go, Amarant Bank Arena. So those tickets are on sale as well. And we're looking forward to, just it's the summer season. I was speaking to a friend girl of mine yesterday who is a teacher, and she was just telling me how the students are, to put it lightly, acting up. And that's not the first person I've seen now who is a teacher who's been like, Sue, we need to get to the end of the year. I'm trying to get to the end of the year in one piece because the amount of kerfuffles, I just want to call them fights between students, people getting suspended at the end of the year. She told me at one school, 15 kids were suspended. And I won't name the school, but yeah, there's a lot going on among our teachers. I have another friend who also teaches and tutors, and she's like, no one is paying attention. And this is a time of year where you have, end of the year testing, and the students are expected to still, focus on what's happening. So if you're a parent out there, auntie, uncle, cousin, somebody who has a child in your life, I want to encourage you to help keep that child focused and encourage them to stay focused, because our educators have a lot to deal with in these last few weeks of school. Yes, it's not summertime, but they think it's summertime on a lot of these campuses. So I don't know about you, but I'm ready for Memorial Day. This it's also Haitian Heritage Month. May is Haitian Heritage Month. I want to big up all of my Haitian American listeners. You know, we love you, you know, one Caribbean American family, and we're going to be celebrating you all month. So we will have guests. You guys, I know you're used to me talking, but I'm going to line up a few guests in the next few weeks because we have to keep informed about what's happening both, of course, in our local politics, of course, what's happening in Tallahassee in their state politics with the state House of Representatives and the state Senate. And we can't get away from, because it's just huge, what's happening in Washington, D.C., and how it's impacting each and every one of our lives. So I encourage you, and I want to, let you know sometimes it's hard to stay engaged because it seems like all of the information is overwhelming and it's hard to understand, why everything that's happening is happening, but can't bury our heads. I'm going to go over some ways in which you can also make your voices heard. I was telling you yesterday, and I've been telling you here on the Suzette Speaks show, because we do talk politics and we do kind of go over what people are doing to make their voices heard, because you're not alone. A lot of people are looking around asking themselves, what's going on? So over 5 million people around the country here in the United States gathered last weekend, and there will be more, civil protests. That is where people are following the law and people are making their voices heard, holding up signs, going to different locations. And, some of them have included Tesla locations and things like this. There are people who have been protesting wherever they live. And shout out to everybody watching Hi Online. For those of you who are watching on the app, you also can know it is important that, you stay informed. As much as we want to say, we're going to sip our tea and let the place burn down. No, this is our country. We've invested a lot here, right? Blood, sweat, and tears of our forefathers paved the way for us to be here. So we too have a stake in what's happening, and we are not just going to let it burn down, and we're not going to just let, people not follow the law. So as I was talking about yesterday, I already saw the smear campaign coming because we've talked about the very important case of a man named Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. That is the Maryland man who was taken out of his living space in Maryland and sent illegally. I'll say it again. Sent without due process. He didn't get a hearing. He didn't get a trial. Nobody heard evidence whether he is truly rightfully in the United States as he is seeking asylum or not. The ICE officers made the single-handed decision to take him away, and he was then ushered by the U.S. government onto a plane, flown to Texas, and then flown to El Salvador. Unfortunately, Mr. Abrego Garcia, without a hearing, still remains in an El Salvadorian prison, without a lawyer, without any hearings, without what we call due process. No one in the United States, it should be, well, that's what at least the law has been. We'll see if it's being enforced going forward. But no one should be, no rights of any person should be taken away without due process. Now, what we're seeing now is the government has also recently released a tape of Mr. Abrego Garcia. This again is the man, Maryland man, who has a wife who's a citizen, children who are citizens. One who I think is two from a previous marriage or previous relationship with his current wife. Anyway, he has I believe it's a son. That's an American citizen as well. Nonetheless, sad news is, we're seeing a bit of a smear campaign and an attempt to say this is justification as to why he does not belong in this country. And the traffic stop, I think he was stopped in Tennessee with a group of other men, like workers. They seemed like they were either coming from or going to some sort of job site. But it doesn't show him breaking the law. It doesn't show him doing anything but being recorded by a deputy during a traffic stop. I don't think, and I'm not sure, but it seems as if they were let go with no incident. However, it was recorded that he was stopped during that traffic stop. So what many are speculating is that the government is trying to find a way, the Trump administration, to justify their actions, even though the court has told them many times this was wrong. bring him back. And if you were an immigration lawyer, I practice personal injury, and I help people who get injured at their workplace or in a car accident or in the hospital. But from my immigration practitioners, they have kept reminding me that this can happen. This is not something that is completely unusual where someone is deported wrongly. But what normally happens is the government of the United States will say, oops, we made a mistake, which in this case, the government has also admitted, and they bring them back. But this gentleman is being made an example, and he is not being brought back and has not been brought back. And we're going to continue to mention his case over and over so that we do not forget, what is happening. So we're looking at some of the news I talked about yesterday, where Trump's national security advisor, this is the right-hand person that sits alongside the president to give him advice about what we're doing when it comes to war, when it comes to how we are dealing with enemy states, friends even, people and countries from around the world. And that national security advisor has broad influence on the president's plans for how he or she deals with external threats of national security. Well, I mentioned yesterday that Mike Waltz, he's from Florida, Mike Waltz, who had been serving as the national security advisor, no longer is holding the post. Now, I asked the question, will he be fired? Because there were rumors swirling, and sometimes those leaks are on purpose. When there's smoke, there's fire, is what my granny would say. But I thought he would be leaving the administration for good, but no. Mr. Trump has removed Mr. Mike Waltz, his former national security advisor. Remember, this is the same gentleman who got mixed up in the text messaging debacle last month. Remember the Signal Gate? Basically, highly classified information was being exchanged by top administration officials, stuff that had, potential to kill our men and women overseas who were in the middle of flying attacks on Iran, right, against what they call a rebel group called the Houthis. And very highly classified information was being sent over text message, really, that anyone could see, right? Non-secure, right? It's not supposed to be. So Mike Waltz was one of the people, or he was the person that basically taken the fall for doing that, and not Pete Hegseth, the head of Department of Defense. But we now see that he's going to be going to the United Nations. Mike Waltz will become, if confirmed by the Senate, the UN ambassador. UN ambassador does not have the same influence as the National Security Advisor. So he will be going from seeing the president every day at the president's, right hand, talking about national security threats. And instead, he will be at the UN, which is mostly someone I probably assess it to be more ceremonial. You give more speeches, you do tour the world. They have an apartment. Apparently, the UN ambassador gets to stay in a $15 million apartment. I had no idea. Yeah. But it is much less stressful, but much less influence. You are basically saying what the president tells you to say as the UN ambassador, as far as his policies. So Mike Waltz has been moved from out of the White House. The National Security Advisor now becomes, did you hear who became the National Security Advisor, who has another job in the administration? He's also from Florida. Florida is very popular in this administration. Yeah, who became the National Security Advisor? Does anyone know? Well, none other than former Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Well, doesn't he have another job? Yes, he already has a job. Marco Rubio is supposed to be the Secretary of State, which is our top foreign diplomat. But Mr. Trump has replaced Waltz as National Security Advisor with Marco Rubio. So he has like a few hats now. He is the acting USAID, or anything that's left of the USAID. He's the acting USAID head. He is now, his main job, the Secretary of State, and now he's also, Marco Rubio will stay on as Secretary of State while also serving as Trump's National Security Advisor. It's wild. So he will also be helping to set foreign policy from a national security standpoint, not only as our top diplomat, but when the country faces threats, which we do across the world, this person is advising the president on how to deal with those threats. So we have Marco Rubio with another job. This is the first major cabinet shuffle up. Trump waited till after his 100 days to shuffle it up, but it's a big shuffle because they say Mike Waltz was a hawk. You have hawks and you have doves. You have people who are hawkish, who want to go to war, who want to go head on, take on our enemies head on, and are not afraid of conflict and combat and war. And you have people who are doves, who that's, the terminology used in foreign policy for people who are peacemakers, who would rather see a resolution, whether, both sides are not happy or not. For example, with Ukraine and with Russia, you would rather see people, hey, let's just, figure out a way to stop this, whether it's right or wrong. We're tired of war. We're not hawks. We're doves. We want to get through this conflict by resolving it by any means possible. So you have these differences of leadership, but now we see President Trump on Thursday nominating Mike Waltz to be the United States ambassador to the United Nations, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as the interim national security advisor while keeping on his current role. It's really interesting what he's doing. But, Trump seems to not have been as upset with Mike Waltz to let him go completely. He is now remaining in the orbit as UN ambassador. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We got Grand Slam track, Miami 2025 takes over Miramar this weekend. If you're looking for something to do, some of the heavy hitters and top names in track and field will be in Miramar this weekend. We also know that the air show in Fort Lauderdale will take place featuring the Blue Angels. But yeah, track and field comes to Miramar this weekend. So you can still check it out. And I see some familiar names that will be featured there. And of course, F1, Formula One in Miami is the big story. Formula One will take over at the stadium. And again, to see it transform is crazy. Formula One basically comes in town, and it's like a little city, like a whole new city. And we get to hear it. I guess we get to watch some of it. This weekend is also the Kentucky Derby. That kicks off tomorrow on Saturday as well. Kentucky Derby is coming up. So lots to watch and even to do if you want to get out of the house. I just read an article about people wanting to stay home more and more. It's kind of wild how that goes. But yeah, if you're one of those people, I hear you. But there are places that you can go to socialize as well. Also want to keep in mind, coming up on Memorial Day Monday, we have a huge soccer tournament that is being sponsored by right here, Voice of the Caribbean. We are putting on a celebrity football match. We're looking forward to it. Monday, May 26th. Get your tickets now. Very affordable. It's a family-friendly event. We will have some big names taking on, selectors, versus artists, including Dexter Daps, Baby Shem, Usain Bolt, Mad Cobra, Weedy Wanda, Luke D, Ayak TMs, Praga Benz, Jashi, Christopher Martin, Agent Sasko, my favorite, Galaxy P, Mega Bantan, Lali. I can't wait, man. I wish they were all performing, but they'll actually be on the soccer pitch. So you can come watch your favorite artists, on several different matches. There'll be a number of matches going on throughout the day. We'll have a vendor fair. There will be food and drink for sale, adult beverage for sale, all of that. And admission is only $30, and kids under 12 are free. So mark that on your calendars. You'll see it on the Voice of the Caribbean Instagram page, Facebook page. You can follow us. You can follow me as well, Suzette Speaks. I am your hostess with the mostest. But we're going to cover some more news and some more social media trends and hot topics. If you want to get right in touch, and let me know how you're feeling at the end of the week. How do you feel about Trump's first 100 days? We've been talking about stories like the Shannon Sharp saga and some other ones I'm going to touch on after the break. So you can give me a call, 850-446-0562. Get you right in touch, 850-446-0562, right here at the station. You can purchase tickets, guys, for the celebrity football match at any of the ticket outlets, Donna's Restaurant, Rainbow Variety Store, and of course right here in our offices. You can stop by Voice of the Caribbean, the office on Broward Boulevard, to collect tickets, purchase tickets, and we can't wait to see you on Monday, May 26th, of Memorial Day, sponsored by the City of Lauderhill, Commissioner Richard Campbell. We appreciate you and all of our partners. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere more. Suzette Speaks right after this.
X, TikTok, and YouTube.
This is Mikey Mike from the Voice of the Caribbean. For over the last 30 years, personal injury lawyer Samuel Otinsky have been helping the Florida clients with personal injury, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, negligence security, wrongful death, and sexual abuse cases.
Thanks
we
for
know
watching.
it is impossible